Ladies and gentlemen, this is MTG Traders. My name is Taryn. Let's go over week 2 of Amonkhet preview season. Let's kick things off with Mana Source's preview card, Vizier of the Menagerie. A 3 colorless and 1 green mana for a 3/4 Naga Cleric. You may look at the top card of your library. You may do this at any time. You may cast the top card of your library if it's a creature card. And you may spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast creature spells. Talk about a relevant card in multiple formats. And it's a 3/4 for 4. So even if you can't get this to go off in draft, it's still going to be a 3/4 for 4, which is great. But this guy is a straight up mana fixer, and that is amazing. I'll definitely leave a lot more of the implications to the Mana Source on his video, so I'll link that below. But for me personally, I definitely see this seeing basically every single format play possible. A 3/4 for 4 that's not a legendary with 3 relevant abilities. Insane. This card is pushed. Moving on to another insane green card, we've got Honored Hydra. A 5 colorless and 1 green mana for a 6/6 Snake Hydra. It has Trample and Embalm for 3 colorless and 1 green mana. For 4 converted mana, it has Embalm. A 6 mana 6/6 with Trample is nothing to sneeze at, but that Embalm ability just puts this card from like really good to staggeringly playable. Think about the implications of this card here. I would probably expect that you would never see this card actually hard cast. Instead, you'll see it go to the graveyard and then Embalm cast. And the reason for that is obviously it's 4 mana versus 6. But if it is hard cast, having to use removal twice on the same card is troublesome. This is one of the first cards where I think Embalm really shines, because it's so simple, yet so effective. If you pick this in Limited, congratulations, you have an amazing creature. I think this will most likely see some standard play in the green-black decks, maybe some green-white Selesnya decks. But regardless of all that, even the art itself is captivating. Moving on to a new Aftermath card, we've got Never to Return. Never is 1 colorless and 2 black mana for a sorcery. Destroy target creature or planeswalker. And then its Aftermath is Return for 3 colorless and 1 black mana for a sorcery. Exile target card from a graveyard. Create a 2/2 zombie creature token. So close, Wizards! So close. If this card was instant speed, I would be happy with it. Because it's not, I feel like we still don't have relevant Planeswalker hate. I realize Wizards wants to be able to have people play Planeswalkers. I understand that. I understand the implications that playing a Planeswalker is a good thing for a player to play. However, in today's standard, not having instant speed removal on Planeswalkers is kind of insane. When your limited answers to Saheeli combo are a 1 mana shock, countering the card, or having a 4 mana castaway with flash, you sort of have a limited color pool to be able to interact with it. I understand there are other cards that interact with Saheeli, and that's not my point. My point is we don't have that 2 mana instant or 2 mana sorcery, destroy target planeswalker, or 3 mana instant, destroy target planeswalker. We don't have that in this standard environment. We really need it. Nevertheless, if you have the 7 mana to use this on 1 turn, I guess it does get rid of a planeswalker and exile it. And give you a 2/2. But again, it's just not there for me. So close, but no cigar. Speaking of a card that is so close, we've got Pull From Tomorrow. It's X colorless, 2 blue for an instant. Draw X cards, then discard a card. Sphinx's Revelation, this is not. However, Brain Geyser with graveyard interaction, this is. And this is the closest we've gotten to Jace's Ingenuity since, Jace's Ingenuity? It's definitely better than Jace's Ingenuity, obviously. And I think this will definitely see some standard play for control decks. I think it's so close, but just not there. As far as being good enough to be like a tempo swing, just like Sphinx's Revelation was. That life gain, while seemingly minuscule, is actually what made that card so amazing. But being a monocolored draw X spell is great. Definitely we'll see a lot of limited and sealed play, and we'll for sure see some standard play. How much standard play? That's up to the format. But I do think being an instant is what makes this card a cut above the rest. We've got another green card for you, and it's Champions of Ronas. It's 3 colorless and 1 green mana for a 3/3 Jackal Warrior. You may exert Champion of Ronas as it attacks. If you do, put target creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Holy crap! This card is ridiculous. Keep in mind we still have Giant Eldrazi in standard. So being able to exert and get a 10 mana Eldrazi out of your hand onto the battlefield for basically 4 mana is insanity. And getting 4 mana on turn 3 isn't impossible now. So having a turn 4 exert, get an Ulamog sounds ridiculous. This will definitely see sealed and limited play. It will, of course, see standard play. I have no idea in what kind of deck archetype just yet. Whenever I visualize the card saying, from your hand to the battlefield, I can't see this not being broken in some deck. A lot of people have been asking if this will see modern play. I don't think it will just because it's 4 mana. However, that hasn't stopped modern decks in the past. So we'll see. I'm always leery about that mana cost, but I do think it's a fine limited and standard pick. Moving on to a black enchantment, we've got Liliana's Mastery. 3 colorless and 2 black mana for an enchantment. Zombies you control get +1/+1. When Liliana's Mastery enters the battlefield, create 2 zombie creature tokens. Okay, for 5 mana, this is too much. especially on such a specific creature buff. Even if it does create 2 2/2s, it's still not there yet for me. 5 mana is a lot in this standard environment. For sealed and draft, go nuts. I think this is a great card. A good tempo swing, giving you 2 2/2s and pumping your board. But in standard, I think this will only be a 1 or 2 of in the zombie tribal deck. Again, 5 mana is a lot, guys. Perhaps we'll see a white-black zombie deck in standard, but for now, that 5 mana just kind of pushes me away from it. But if you get it in draft and sealed, it's a fine pick. Moving on to a multicolor spell, we've got Neheb the Worthy, a 1 colorless, 1 black, 1 red mana for a 2/2 legendary Minotaur warrior. It has first strike, and other Minotaurs you control have first strike. Whenever Neheb the Worthy deals combat damage to a player, each player discards a card. What an insane card. For modern players, there's definitely a Minotaur deck that's just for you that this card will go in. For standard players, maybe there's a Minotaur tribal deck somewhere. We haven't seen much as far as Minotaurs just yet, but I think it's coming. And again, First Strike is a very relevant combat ability. I feel like it should be in the same ballpark as Death Touch, because it's such a difficult combat trick to get around. But giving your entire board if you have Tribal's First Strike is just insane. And that discard ability is pretty good as well. And especially in Limited and Draft, where near the mid game you guys are both top decking. A fine pick in Limited and Draft. We'll probably see a standard deck that has Tribal of Minotaurs, but as far as like Pro Tour playability, I just don't see it. Again, these Tribal cards are just for the kitchen tables and for the underdog decks. I do think it's really cool, but I wouldn't see this at a Pro Tour. Moving on to a black card that has a Minotaur on it, we have Unburden for 1 colorless and 2 black mana for a sorcery. Target player discards 2 cards. It also has cycling for 2 colorless mana. Okay, there are so many discard spells in standard right now that it makes me think there might be a discard deck in the future in standard. Maybe like a red-black Rakdos Minotaur discard strategy. I think that would be awesome. In limited, this card is great. It is exactly what you want because all it wants to do is get your opponent off balance. Again, because in the mid game in draft and in sealed, you're basically top decking until whoever wins. Now that's not always the case, but draft and sealed usually boil down to creature-based strategies. And so that empties your hand quicker than anything. I definitely think this is a great card in limited and sealed, and this may even see something in a standard deck for discard. Besides that, it's alright. The cycling is good though too. Moving on to a blue counterspell, we have Censor for 1 colorless and 1 blue mana for an instant. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 1 mana. What a terrible counterspell. Mental misstep, this is not. However, if they're tapping out every single turn, this may be a card to put from your sideboard into your main board in limited or sealed. I highly doubt this will see standard play, just because its workaround for 2 mana is so low. I'm not sure what the reasoning is behind them not wanting to reprint Mana Leak, but I feel like out of all standard environments, Mana Leak would be awesome. But they haven't printed that card in probably 5 years now. Very sad. But, control players, do not play this in your standard deck. 1, it's not worth it. 2, it's too expensive for what it does. And 3, it has easy workaround requirements. Do not play it. And finally, we've got our white god for today, Oketra the True. A 3 colorless and 1 white mana for a 3/6 legendary god. It has indestructible and double strike. Oketra the True can't attack or block unless you control 3 or more creatures. And for 3 colorless and 1 white mana, create a 1/1 white warrior token with vigilance. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I think out of all the gods so far, it's the least effective. Having double strike is great, but having to have board presence before you can even attack with this card is kind of difficult. I understand her ability also pumps for creatures on the board, but again, in standard, that's a lot of mana to put into a single card. In draft and sealed, great ability. I definitely think this is an insane limited and draft bomb, but in standard, unless we kind of get to that green-white token strategy, I don't really see this being played that often. Close, but no cigar for me. But if you have a different opinion, please let me know in the comments below. But that is it for today's spoilers. What did you guys think of them? Did you like the legendary Minotaur? What about Oketra? Will it see play? I definitely want to know your thoughts. Like the video if you liked it, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more MTG Traders videos in the future. We'll see you guys.